This is Joe Price. I'm going to provide some instructions on a new project we're doing. We're trying to find every single soldier who died in World War I from the United States. And so the way you get to this project is to type in bit.ly/rll_volunteer. That'll take you to our volunteer portal. And then this is under World War I U.S. casualties is this first project. And there's some instructions that you can follow. I'm going to take you right into the data sheet. So click Data, and this will drop you right into the sheet. And you can see that there's a volunteer column, and so I'll come down and pick a spot where I'm planning to work. And so just find, and a nice little trick is if you hit Control down, it'll take you to the next open spot. So I'll just type my name in here, and then notice this number tells us that these are all part of the same group, so you'll want to check out an entire group. Now, this project has three parts. The first is to check to see if everyone in the group is in fact the same person. The second is to find the person on the family tree, and if they're not there, to add them. And the third is to link that person on the family tree to the 1910 census so we can see them with their family. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my viewing just a little bit. I'm going to change this to 75 so I can see more information on my screen. Actually, for the video, I'll keep it bigger just so people can see the screen a little bit better. But here I have these four people right here are part of the same group, and so I'm going to look at their information and see if they line up. So here I have Winston P. They all have the same name. Notice two of them died on the exact same day, and then I have Birmingham, Birmingham, Birmingham. And so what allows me to know that they're all part of the same group is that Birmingham ties these two together, the death dates tie them together, Birmingham ties them together. So these all these records that we were able to pull from the internet all represent the same person. So in terms of our first task, we've determined that they're all part of the same group, and so I'm just going to put 1 in each of those columns. Now the second thing I need to do is find the PID for this person. Now here in the possible PID column, this is some fine code we wrote to see if we could find the person on the tree, and then the match score tells us whether it's correct or not. Usually a match score of 5, 6, or 7 tend to be good. This 4.5 is kind of on the border, so let's take a look. So I'm going to copy that code. I'm going to come into Family Search, hit Family Tree Find, and then I go Find by ID and put this in here so I can look at this person. So let's take a look at this record. I have Winston Payne Anderson. That's great. Looks like he was born. We can always fix things that it says of Birmingham. Okay, so I can see they're using kind of a notation about where it is, but it's been standardized. And I can look over here. I have some record hints that point to someone with this birth date of so Winston P. Anderson. So what I can do is start to use this to create a more detailed account of who this person is. I can also, here I have a Veterans Administration. So what we're hoping to find is to see if, so here we have a death date. So we have a birth date of 23rd of March, 1891, and a death date of 22 July, 1918. So that lines up with our 4th of July, 1918. So this is where we have to use a little bit of judgment. So we're going to probably try to figure out if these are the same person. Everything's kind of lining up in that the name's pretty unique. The middle initial matches from the same place. So in this case, I'm pretty sure this is the same person. The other thing we can do is look on Ancestry to see if he shows up in a family tree. And we'll click that. And so here we have a Find a Grave for someone who died in 4th of July 1918, so that's our person, and Winston Payne, so we can come back here, and now we can make the birth date a little more precise, and we know he was born in Birmingham, so that gives us that information. And then notice that over here we're going to start to see lots of other records for this person. Now one thing that's interesting is we have this one, and we have this one. Now that's in a different county, so actually this is March. This one's lining up really well, and we can go over here and see if that's one of the sources we already have. So here we have 1900 census and the 1910 census. So it looks like he might have been living in 2 different places, so I could go and check on those. But in this case now, I feel confident this is the right person, so we can copy his ID, come over here, and now we know we have the correct PID, and he's attached to the 1910 census. The reason I know that is if I look in the sources, I can see here he is in 1910. And at this point, we've accomplished what we were hoping to do, and you're welcome then at this point to add in other information. So for example, in this case, if I go back, I can get his death date, which is 4th of July in France. We can put that in here. But we're done. So that person is done. Let's go to the next one. So here we have Bud Andrews. And if I come over here, I can see that 3 of these have an exact death date match. And then I have Elba, Elba, Elba. So Elba's getting tied together right here and the death date. So then all of these represent the same person. So we can come over, and the first thing we do is bring the 1 down. That's my way of saying that they're all the same person. And now what we're going to do, now notice this has a match score of 2. So in this case, it's probably not going to be the person we're looking for, but we can always use that as a starting point. And you can see this person was born in 1842. He's not going to be one of our soldiers. Almost all of the US soldiers who died were born, between 1890 and 1898. So this is not a match. So in this case, what we're going to do is instead we're going to create add an unconnected person. So we're going to come here. We have Winston P. Oh, I actually grabbed the wrong one. So here we're doing Bud Andrews, and then we're just going to type in what we know about him. So we have a death date for him, and almost all of the US soldiers died in France, so we're just going to use that as a starting point. And then we don't really know much about his, though we can kind of scroll over, and we can see that he was born in Elba in Alabama. So we'll type in a birthplace, which is Elba, Alabama. You can see it's in Coffee County. And then we can just put in a guess for the birth date, though you don't have to do that. But this is what we know about this person. And now now we have a PID for this person, so we'll put that in the sheet. So we've accomplished task number 2. And now our hope is to try to link Bud to his family. And so a lot of times I'll just take a look on Ancestry to see what they have for him. And so this is great because now we're going to get a better birth date for him. So we can bring that over. Okay, because we had this find a grave that had him with his death date. We can also come over here and find others, see if he shows up in a family tree. You can see here that he goes by the name Bud, but in fact his name is William C. Andrews. So we'll come in here and change that to William C. Andrews. And at this point, we can also try to link him now to the 1910 census so that we can see him with his parents. And so here we see parents John and Elizabeth. We come over here, we have John Morgan and Elizabeth Parker. So let's actually attach that 1900 census first. And actually this is helpful because now we can see that it's already attached to someone. So we're going to copy that ID, come back over here, merge by ID, paste it in. And then one thing to keep in mind is since the person on the right was already there to begin with, we're actually going to have them switch positions. Now let's just recall really quick. Okay, it does look like it says he died in Alabama. So we'll keep that as it is. We will come down here. Let's just double check on the dates. So 26th of July, right here, has him dying 26th July. Okay, so we might want to go back and try to fix and see if he died in France or if he died in Alabama. But there we go. And so now that's been attached. Let's check the source to see if he's already in the 1910 census. He is. So then we'll come over here and we will add in ones for there because now he's been attached. So we've accomplished all 3. We checked to see if all 5 of these records over here were for the same person. We found the PID for those people, and then we linked them to the 1910 so we can see them with their family. And remember, the whole goal of this is to try to identify every single US soldier who died in the war on the family tree so they can be found and discovered and remembered by people that are related to them. But feel free to use the instructions, and we're very grateful for all your help with this project.